Hello, this is Cutlex again, bringing to you the round 4 match of myself against Marsh in the standard blind band tournament. And this should be a good one if you can't tell by the teams I have pulled up here that I think both of these teams are pretty strong teams. We have my team, which is the Occult Mystify team, and Marsh has what I would call Glory and Friends. And looking at this match, I'm going to have my hands full because a lot of these mons are strong mons. They get stronger over time, and they have some potential to also, with a little bit of RNG, get their setup going very quickly. In particular, there's Raduga and Tanuki, who are probably two of the best supports in the game. And after a few turns, they're going to set up their entire team with a ton of buffs, and in Raduga's case, actually start killing things. There's also Ascendant and Monk, who are also amazing supports, especially in conjunction with each other, and especially against my team, because they get better as they get attacked and survive attacks. And as such, my team that wants to do a bunch of AoEs is going to play right into that. And after a few turns, they're going to have a million buffs and start doing a ton of damage as well. That's not even starting to get into the actual damage dealers on the team who are really broken. Rampede and Thanatos are two of the strongest DPS in the game. Lion turns into a raid boss if it gets, I don't know, 1.5 turns of buffs. You have One Punch Fish, who is pretty strong, and I think is in here for additional accuracy and maybe a replacement in case one of his DPS mons gets banned. Not 100% sure. Of course, there's Bard, who is a great stack remover and otherwise buffer. Finally, there's the cat on his team, which I was really worried about going into this matchup because I have a bunch of recent trauma because of Caraglow, if you didn't watch the finals of the last tournament video that I have put together. So this team is an extremely strong team built with extremely strong monsters with a lot of cohesion, run by a strong battler. So as we got into this, there's an extremely obvious ban here, which is Tanuki, but I actually hesitated quite a bit. I thought maybe I would ban Thanatos and just try to muscle through the Tanuki and hope that I could slow his team down by a half a turn or so to give me an opening to take advantage of that. But ultimately, I decided I might as well be conservative and ban the Tanuki because, lowering the ceiling of your good proliferate rolls is not great. You're just my team is already a casino team, and putting a debuff on that is just extremely annoying. From his side, I was going to be really surprised if he didn't ban Nautilid. Nautilid gives me a lot of reach and endurance, and it is just not really worth it for him to try to ban anything else. So as we look at the bans then, no surprise. I got the Tanuki, he got the Nautilid, and we're gonna get going and see how this goes. I'm gonna be trying to break his team and see what I can do to try to hope that he runs 3 of his other really good supports without Caraglow, trying not to use the revive on the Caraglow, and we're gonna see how that goes for me. Okay, so the first thing I notice here is it looks like he might have 4 supports, but it could be a DPS Ascendant. Regardless, I'm pretty sure he's going to run Rampede out first because Rampede's his sturdiest DPS. And yeah, this is the 2 monks with Rampede. This is going to be his best um, defense to try to get a bunch of buffs up because both of the monks have concealed to try to limit my hits. However, Fungi doesn't care because he's going to use Leaf Slash. And I'm going to use Leaf Slash on that Rampede and hope that we get some debuffs. Even though I'd really like to use it on that Ascendant because it has the armor break. And we get a kind of low roll, which is fine. There was like no chance that Rainbow Blob was going to miss that one shot on Rampede. The issue here is, though, that we didn't get a whole lot of debuffs on those monks. So our turn 2 might be a bit crappy. But Marsh decided to bring in Reduga here, so maybe the Reduga is a DPS, or maybe he's just going to do triple support and try to build up his buffs so that he can just take out my fragile monsters with these buffed up support mons. Yeah, I thought maybe the monk would attack here, but no, it just builds combo and heals, and now we're going to see how much damage Reduga is going to do. Reduga does have, like, all of its attacks are effective against that Mad Eye, but Mad Eye survives, so it leads me to believe that that's not a DPS Reduga. It had a good chunk of combo. But we're going to see here. We have the armor break on that Ascendant. We've got a theoretically lethal Cataclysm already. So I'm trying to decide here what my strategy is going to be. I think we're just going to build up more combo and then YOLO that Cataclysm and see what happens. Yeah, we're going to throw out the armor break to see if we can get some armor break on these guys to increase the damage and debuff. We get an okay roll here. So now the Cataclysm is very unlikely to kill Monk, but with that extra poison buff, it's enough. Now we've knocked Marsh's team down to his last line, which is still problematic though, because that Reduga has a good chunk of buffs on it right now, and Thanatos is going to probably wipe me with his Fatal Cut, and he's got Caraglow now with Revive. So Marsh, instead of using his buffing action on Thanatos, he uses it on the cat to give it more durability. And Reduga very wisely wiping out the Phoenix Affinity, and we lost 2 Mons there. Mad Eye survived due to its resistance to physical. And now I'm trying to decide what my strategy here is. And Cat has 52% dodge with its concealed, and I think it has another dodge passive, and it got Spell Shield as a completely random buff from Reduga. Must be nice. So I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to decide my path to trying to kill... I really want to kill that cat, because if you don't kill the cat, it's just going to revive whatever. And we get a not great attack from Mad Eye, and I'm trying to decide what the hell I'm going to do here, because I'm pretty sure that I can kill Thanatos, but if we kill Thanatos, it's just going to get revived, and Reduga is going to attack for a bunch of damage. So I'm thinking we've got to kill this cat, and then maybe we can survive long enough to wear down these other guys. So we're going to use Ion Beam to try to get some of these debuffs, to get these buffs, and build up combo, and just have the worst Ion Beam. And so now I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, now we threw that the water AoE and missed almost all of it on Caraglow, and now we're just cooked. We left this up to the RNG gods, and we have displeased them, apparently. So now I'm assuming that I'm going to lose 2 monsters here, one to Reduga and one to this Thanatos, who is just going to kill at will. There's the second attack. And there we go. Down to 2 Mons. This is really bad, but you know, we're gonna try it. We're gonna build up some combo and maybe some armor break. Nope. Infinite dodges instead. And we'll YOLO the Cataclysm. And we got nothing. So now we're thinking about game 2, and we're seeing Marsh's strat here, where he's trying to hold this cat in reserve to as far back as he can, keep it as a reviver, and to build up a big Reduga as a sort of third DPS here. So now my strategy is really, I haven't adapted too much here. We're just going to run the same thing, and we're going to hope that we can get a nice Leaf Slash here. We've got Armor Break on Rampage, so that's going to help spread these debuffs. And yeah, we've got a nice little starter there. 22 hits. It's a little bit above average. We got a little bit of poison on the poison weak monsters. And I'm looking here on Mad Eye to see if there's any chance that I can AoE down this Rampede. And if I just had a little more pepper, I could do this, because Rampede has 3 poison on him. He's going to take a ton of, and a burn, he's going to take a ton of residual damage, but I decided I'm just not going to risk it. There wasn't enough pepper on Mad Eye to take down that with an AoE, and Rainbow Blob's only AoE is an ultimate, which you can't use on turn 1. So we just take down Rampede, and this game is looking very familiar to the last game, other than there being a little bit more debuffs on these monks here at this point. I think this is the exact same move that Reduga used last time, but I think I had bow on the eye last game, and in this game it has a heavy shield, so it took very little damage. And we're gonna hit this. Oh yeah, we get a nice little roll there. Not a huge one, but you know, a big enough roll here that we're gonna, with the Cataclysm, have no problem taking down that Ascendant, even if we were to fire that Cataclysm second. I'm trying to decide here if we want to use a different AoE, to use weakness maybe, but no, we just are going to shift the actions like this to try to get some armor break. And we're going to launch the AoE. We get a bunch of debuffs on these guys. So now these guys are in not super great shape, but Thanatos comes in and is going to do something really nasty. I'm hoping that Reduga doesn't put a bunch of convenient buffs on Thanatos. And maybe we can survive. But instead, Thanatos gets Might and 2 stacks of agility, which is problematic if I want to bring in Troll. So it's looking like we're going to have to go all in on Mad Lord, even though these guys... Oh, and it turns out that Mad Eye has showed up and gets a good roll, gets a bunch of armor break put on these guys, and this Cataclysm is looking really nice. We're going to have this issue, though, that the cat's going to come in and revive somebody, even if we get a full wipe here. So we're not really out of the woods yet. So I'm trying to decide here with Grulu what we want to do. We're just going to build combo. We want to get as many debuffs as we can on here. And hopefully that's enough to double kill this bird. And I have totally forgotten that Karaglow has the ultimate, which is a double revive. So now the other dudes are brought back, and they don't have that many buffs, but they have really good buffs if you were to pick buffs. So now I'm sitting here thinking that I might be effed, because they should have enough pepper to take someone out. I'm assuming this monk has the fire attack, which is a magic attack, to take out this eye. But the fact that it's taking Marsh that long to decide means maybe he doesn't. And so he just heals up. So now this team is really hoping that I can't do a bunch of damage to them this turn in order to be able to swing back on theirs. But I have a Cataclysm here on Mad Eye. That's a combo building. Added a good chunk of debuffs there. Threw on some Shock, which is going to lower their dodge a bit. And so Grulu's probably just going to throw a Solar Burst here in order to build this combo up and hopefully get some more defense. So yeah, we got a good amount of armor break. Grulu hauls his weight there, and now we've got a almost 50 combo Acid Tempest. This is going to be tough for him to survive. Yeah, the 2 monks being poison weak is a huge detriment to them. And now I'm thinking here, I'm going to be going second here, and I'm thinking Troll probably is the most likely thing to survive on turn 1. And it's going to let me add a bunch more poison, even if he targets fungi down. And I really want to put as much poison on this team as we can. There it is, fungi goes down, even with a heavy shield. It's really hard to survive a turn 1 hit from Rampede, especially if you're weak to it. And I'm not sure, I think I'm thinking here whether I want to bring in Rainbow Blob just to make sure I bring down Rampede. But eventually I decide, no, we're just going to bring in Mad Eye, and Mad Eye is going to do what needs to be done here. And Mad Eye gets another good roll. We get some armor break on these guys to hopefully spread out some more debuffs. And notably here you can see that even though his line has a big weakness to Earth, I don't even have the Earth AoE on Troll because Caraglow just happens to also resist Earth if it isn't bad enough for my team. But Grulu gets a good roll there, and even through the physical weakness, I had full faith on Troll and its debuffs to be able to take down that Rampede. So now things are looking okay. I'm thinking that none of my mons here are going to die on this turn. I'm going to get another turn, and we're going to see what kind of poison that we can put on these monks to try to bring them down. But, you know, I can't pin down this Reduga extremely well, so this Reduga could have, no, it could be a DPS Reduga, but it's not. So Mad Eye survives with no problem. I'm thinking now that Marsh is working on this Mad Eye and is trying to set Reduga to weaknesses that are conducive to whatever debuffs I'm going to put on it in order to weaken it for when Thanatos is going to come in to do its AoE. But I'm trying to decide here what I want to do about these this monk line, and I was thinking about doing the Earth attack and then just default it back over to this armor break. And the armor break is really nice. We're going to see now if we can get some more with Grulu. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at all those debuffs. So now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that this, even with all of those debuffs and all of that armor break, that monk is just so resistant. So I'm trying to decide here if I just want to I'm thinking I'm going to single target this Reduga down so that it doesn't have the ability to stack up, and just accidentally took the Ascendant down through all those poison stacks. But now Caraglow comes in, and Monk weirdly is not putting that many buffs on Thanatos, but it's fine because Caraglow will just put like 10 buffs on him. And weirdly, the only monster that dies to the Thanatos Fatal Cut, or the AoE ult, is the one that resists it. R.I.P. Mad Eye. I'm trying to decide now which one of these mons do I want to come in. I kind of want to bring in Blob because someone's going to die here. But then I decide that we need to bring in this Mad Lord because the Bad Lord is going to be able to do a giant cataclysm, and that has been my bread and butter. But now we get a real bad attack with Grulu because of all of the blind and the dodge buffs are really adding up to make it difficult for my monsters to hit them. So I'm trying to figure out now. I'm just taking it as a given that we're going to kill Thanatos with the Cataclysm. So I'm trying to figure out what is my best way of doing this. And eventually I decide that I want to use the Cataclysm just to build more combo and get more debuffs for Troll here. And now I'm pretty concerned because I can't kill this Caraglow. I was swinging for the fences there trying to bring down that Caraglow because I was pretty sure that Monk was going to die from those debuffs. I just didn't realize here that Marsh was going to use his AoE ult, which added a ton of healing and a ton of buffs to his mons. Like, it's pretty egregious. It was a great move, and I just cannot recover from it. The Thanatos, which I didn't kill, has enough buffs that it's just going to kill at will, and the Monk was just going to build enough combo that it might also kill stuff. So we're pretty much hosed now. I could have made some different choices there, I think, to try to ameliorate this the advantage that he had with the Caraglow revive, but I didn't, and the AoE ult got me. And you just cannot kill the Caraglow. I was thinking maybe, you know, YOLO, that I could kill the Caraglow there and maybe I could bring down those, but there's just no way. Thanatos does so much damage. So we're done here. We're on the play here again, and we're gonna send out my team here. I made a change here. I adjusted my Mad Eye to be about half DPS. It's got a summoning sword and a max level damage ability, because I'm hoping here that Fungi can go off and give me a bunch of debuffs. It does okay. It's 22 hits, and I'm hoping now with this Firestorm it's going to do enough damage, but it just somehow, with all the changes I made to my Mad Eye, it's doing even less damage. It has an even smaller preview than it did in the last time. So I'm just sitting here in complete bafflement of how that Rampede is going to take less damage than it would have before I made any changes, and just have to give up and go for the single target. That's okay though, I'm thinking, because maybe this Mad Eye, it's got Cataclysm, and with these DPS items it could be important to get that ult for some additional damage later. But we'll see if we can get there. We're now at the same place that we've been for the last, or for the 3 matches that I've gone first. And I'm trying to figure out now if there's anything I need to change here to try to get to an advantageous state. And I'm thinking that what I want to do here is wear down this Reduga. And if I can kill the Reduga, then I can force Marsh into either bringing in the cat early or to bring in Thanatos early. And if I can kill that Thanatos, then we're going to be in a lot better shape for our endgame. But we have to get there first. Fungi gets a nice little combo there, but it doesn't put a whole lot of debuffs on that Reduga. So we're gonna see if we can get some more, or if we can get some armor break here from Mad Eye, so that we can do more damage and apply more debuffs. Instead, I decided to throw weakness up. I'm not sure why I did this. I was thinking that we were gonna try to. Yes, I was trying to apply weakness so that as we go through this strategy of having Reduga die first and cycle through my opponent's monsters, that if I've got 3 weakness on each of these monks, they shouldn't be able to do that much damage, even with all of their buffs. At least that's the theory. But it turned out somehow through all of Fungi's antics that we didn't get any poison on Reduga. So when we took it out with that Thunder Strike, it just is still alive. And this is really bad for me, because you can see now that Reduga ult going off just put, I don't know, 20 buffs on my opponent's team. So now I'm realizing that this may have been a mistake. We probably should have gone for the Cataclysm. We should have went for the AoE armor break move and the Cataclysm to try to knock down as many of these monsters as we can. And I'm trying to rectify this mistake now by trying to take Monk down, because Monk, with his combat guard, is giving a lot of durability to the rest of this team. But we might be too far gone now at this point. Like that Cataclysm, even these single target attacks, I might go look at the slime attack at some point. But we're thinking now we've got to throw this Cataclysm. We've got to get a bunch of AoE, or we've got to get a bunch of combo here. And now we're going to try to decide what we want to do here. Because I'm thinking that Monk has a bunch of debuffs on it, and maybe we'll get lucky, and that poison will be enough. But I miscalculated somewhere, and the Monk is not even close to taking enough damage there to go down. And now I'm thinking we're in pretty bad trouble. We've got these 2 monks. They're going to buff up Thanatos, and they're going to wipe me. And with all those buffs that are on the monks, with my reserve team coming in, we're not going to be able to do anything about it. So we get a dodge on the Fungi, which keeps him alive, and we got Rainbow Blob sticking around for another turn. So that attack was a little bit less devastating than I thought. So, all right. Fungi's still alive. We're going to Leaf Slash on Thanatos. Hopefully we can spread some more debuffs to the other guys, get some poison on Ascendant, and hit a jackpot. We really need a jackpot in here to stay in this. And Fungi hits 0 debuffs. I have to tell you, in all the years that I've played Monster Sanctuary with and against Fungi, I have never seen him do that. That is like a 1% roll on Fungi. And I guess Fungi just didn't have anything in him after eating that fat fatal cut. But that's okay, because we had a really nice Ion Beam from Grulu to take care of it, and I don't even care about the rest of, Thanatos didn't die, but, he's boned. He's going to die to those debuffs. So I'm trying to decide, we're going to slime attack here on the Ascendant to try to put some debuffs on him. And we're hoping now that I was trying to put enough debuffs here on Ascendant that it was going to be easier for this turn to bring in Mad Lord and get a team wipe, or not a team wipe, but to wipe out both of those monks. Because they have a ton of buffs on them right now, and if I can, if he kills somebody and I can bring in Mad Lord, we might be able to kill both of those guys, and then the cat will have to use his AoE revive, and it'll be a team of full supports that are going to take a couple turns to get their debuff or their buffs to a point where they're going to be threatening. At least that's the theory here. But instead, Monk apparently has an AoE ultimate, and with all of that combo and all those buffs, it was a team wipe after that great combo attack with Ascendant. So now we are in real trouble here. I don't like Troll doesn't have Proliferate, so we're gonna have to use Cataclysm here to try to put some debuffs on here to get Troll to inflict damage. And there's just not enough debuffs on this team for me to be able to do anything here. I need to kill that cat, and it's just not gonna happen. So that's it. We're waiting here to figure out how these supports are going to take me down. So that's going to take this match. Marsh came into this match with a really well-developed plan and executed it pretty well. I was not really anticipating the structure involved here, and as such, I was having to adapt to this mid-match, and I think there are a bunch of things that I could have done differently to give myself more advantages here. But unfortunately, I didn't have the wherewithal during the match to try to go and adjust those. And I would go into them a little bit more to talk strategy for, debuff against glory and, what is more important when trying to deal with a Caraglow. But there is a somewhat reasonable chance that I'm going to have to play against Marsh again, and I don't need to give him any more ammo. So this was a great match. I felt way worse about it when it was over than I do now. I think these games were pretty close, and I think they could have gone either way. I got a little bit unlucky with some of my casino rolls, especially Fungi was rolling really badly in the beginning and especially near the end. And, that's just how Mass Mystify goes. If you get put in a bad spot, you're hoping to hit a jackpot and hope that Fungi or Grulu are going to bail you out. I didn't get that this time. Marsh angled me into advantageous situations for him. I didn't hit my jackpots, and he got me. So good times, a good match. I wish it had been a little bit closer. Was hoping it, been nice to have taken it to a game 5, but that's just not how it goes sometimes. So thanks, Marsh. Good luck with the rest of your tournament, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.